Okay, we're going to go ahead and begin our final statement.
I would like for you to vote for me, Mary Kay Bacayao, for state school superintendent, because I can fix these problems. I've had over 25 years in education, starting from when I graduated in teacher education, before I was even 20 years old, and I know the answers, and it's so hard to know the answers, and I went to 6 out of the 8 listening sessions, and just trying to, tell everyone, well, if we just do this, it will, all these problems, we can fix them. And I would like to have that opportunity to fix these problems. And I've seen it from so many different levels. I've been at the national math conferences, at the national science conferences, the educational technology conferences. There are all these grants from the U.S. Department of Education. I have a vast array of knowledge, especially in assessment and testing, school law, standards. I can fix all of this. And I hope you just give me the chance to do it. My main thing is returning control to the people who have the most responsibility for the kids, and those are the parents and the teachers. Letting them do what they know to do and not hindering them with so many burdensome requirements. So academic freedom, Dr. Mary Kay Bacayao, thank you.
Yeah, thank you each and every one of you for coming out tonight. Again, as I began, my message, this evening, it's personal. And, we can talk about graduation rates, we can talk about dropout rates, we can talk about, funding and things of this nature. But at the end of the day, you as a parent, you're just concerned about, did my child receive an education that will give them the opportunity to succeed in life. But one of the things I bring to this table is that for 22 years, I did work in the Irwin County school system. 14 years, I was a high school social studies teacher. 8 years in administration. I've been working as an assistant principal, K-5 curriculum director, hospital homebound, homeschool system director, pre-K principal, and middle school, high school, principal or over alternative school. So I've walked and been where your kids walk each and every day. That's because I've worked in school each and every day. And I think that as we look at what we are implementing in Georgia, we just have to make sure that our standards are will help us achieve their dreams and their opportunity. We have to give our teachers, once again, the opportunity to close their door and teach. And that means that we don't teach to the test, we teach to the child. It means we cut out, paperwork, data collecting, and excessive testing, so they can work with our kids day in and day out. One of the things I think we have to have a mindset, in this position is never forget what it's like to be a teacher. Never forget what it's like to be a student, because that allows us to prioritize. And we have to make sure that when we prioritize, that we are focusing on the children. The children is all it's about. If we don't succeed with them, we don't succeed at all. So we have to make sure that our focus and emphasis is on this. I would appreciate your vote. Again, please check my campaign out at woodsforsuper.com. Thank you very much. Nancy?
Thank you for coming tonight. It was really my pleasure to be here. I hope that when you reflect back on tonight, you think about the level of detail that I gave you and the specificity of my plan. It attacks the structural problems that we have, and it's the only plan that does so. It's researched, it follows best practices. This is, again, the job loss chart. There's only one state that borders us that is doing worse than us, and that's Tennessee. I don't know for how long they will do worse than us, because they've gotten serious about education there. And they've tackled a number of reforms that we have yet to do. And so they're getting ahead of us, and their achievement levels are showing that. So when you reflect back on tonight, remember, Nancy's focused. She's focused on Georgia, and she's got the plan to fix things. If we were following the golden rule, if we cared about students, if we cared about kids, if we cared about teachers, we would be in a different place. So we can say a lot of things, but where we are, what we can measure, that's telling us a different story. So remember, financial accountability and integrity, There are good systems in place. We need to adopt them. Opportunities and choices. Parents are the arbiters of what's good for their children, and we need to respect that. Consequences for failure at the bureaucratic district level. We need that. We need an upgraded funding formula, and I want to work with the legislature to get that. And we need to reject Common Core in favor of common sense. So I appreciate your time tonight, and I hope you'll check out my campaign, nancyjester.com, and also do the text and get on my mailing list. Thanks so much.
Mike?
You know, I'm not a politician, and after tonight, I know why. I'm an educator, and I'm a parent. And I think I want what most parents want. I want a safe and orderly school environment. When I drop my kids off in the morning, I expect to get them back in at least the same condition that I dropped them off. I'm no different than any other parent. Everybody wants a safe, orderly environment. I want a world-class education system. Listen, I'm so competitive, it hurts. At Rome High School, if there was a Tiddlywinks competition, I wanted to be the Tiddlywinks champion of the world. I want us to lead the nation in student achievement. I want to know that my kids are going to be educated by caring adults, people dedicated to them. I think every parent wants a teacher that they know will treat their children as they do their own. And frankly, I think we've got a lot of them. Now, you know, you've heard a lot about the sins of education in Georgia. And just because you say it and repeat it and it gets louder and you can refer to various pieces of rhetoric, doesn't necessarily make it so. I can tell you some metrics, concrete metrics, where Georgia is doing a good job. We haven't hit it out of the park. We got plenty of room to improve. But Education Week, national publication, one of the most respected out there, recently, 2013, ranked Georgia #1 in connecting early learning to K-12 education to post-secondary and the world work. #1. In 2012, real metrics, national assessments that are given across the country, the SAT, the ACT, the NAEP, reading, math, science, and advanced placement exams. You know how many states in the country went up in each of those 5 assessments? There was one that went up in every one of those statements. It was Georgia. So I'm tired of public education in Georgia taking a beating. We got room to improve. I fully acknowledge it. But if you're going to tell the story, tell the whole story.
Thank you.
When in the course of human events. That's probably the most famous few words, probably the most famous document in the United States, the Declaration of Independence. Very few people or events can change history. There are a lot of history makers in the world. Abraham Lincoln was one. George Washington, Benjamin Franklin, Thomas Jefferson. They were history makers because they signed this document. Bud and Gwinnett, Lyman Hall, George Walton, they signed the bottom of the Declaration of Independence to declare ourselves free. That was an event-changing, history-making thing that happened. So there's very few things that change the course of history. Ladies and gentlemen, on May 20th and then November 7th, I believe, you can change history in the state of Georgia. You can elect someone who can reinvent education because he knows education. He's been around the block. He has a lot of knowledge and experience, and he is willing to reinvent education in the state of Georgia. There's a lot of negativity been said tonight. Why do we want to leave the state? Why do we want to leave this education of this state and be negative about it? Why do I want to talk about my warts when I can talk about my beauty? I can talk about my bald head, but I'm going to talk about what I know of education. Because we've got to be positive, because the leader of the state education department has to be the most positive person in this state. He is the PR person. He is who goes from Camden County to Dade County, from Raven County to Seminole County, and speaks the truth about the State Department of Education and the state of education in Georgia. And I believe we've got a pretty darn good one. A lot of you are products of this system. A lot of you have children in this system. And so you need a leader in the State Department of Education. And Alan Ford will be that leader in the State Department of Education.
Cheryl?
Thank you. You know, when I go to vote for a candidate myself, I always think it's a job interview, so I always want to look at their resume and ask them lots of questions, which you've done tonight. One question that employers sometimes ask me is, what's your biggest strength? What's your biggest weakness? And, you know, it's interesting over the years of being in management, I've come to the conclusion that one unique strength I do have is when I'm willing to make the tough decision in a room full of people that may not like that decision and stand there and defend that decision. And I think that's what you need to break up a bureaucracy, that going along to get along is not what's needed at this point. I'm not an educrat, I just represent parents, I represent taxpayers, and I think that that's probably a good place to be from, to question what's been going on. I like your idea of a top-down audit, to see there are 300 people in the building, 300 outside. There's billions of dollars, not millions. How's it being spent? In the real, I should say in the real world, in the business world, you set a goal, you set a deadline, and you set a measurable standard by which you achieve. And I'm not talking about the kids anymore or the teachers, I'm talking about the DOE. We have to be accountable and say, this will be done by this date with this amount of budget, and we'll know if we failed. And each employee needs to have that in front of them, that if you don't perform, the rumors I've heard are astounding of how bloated the bureaucracy is. And I would like to get in there and see what could be done. I have a track record of being efficient, cutting budgets, and getting productivity out of different departments. So again, my name's Cheryl Dawes, and I'd like your vote. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming out tonight. It really shows your passion for education. And, you know, I will agree with Mike and Alan over there said, I'm a bit of an optimist as well. You know, I think we're doing some great things with education here in the state of Georgia. Can we do better? Sure we can. Do we want to be world class? Absolutely. As I told you about my background when we started, you know, I've managed 1,700 employees. I understand to instill a culture. And I think when we talk about the DOE, we want to improve and we want to make sure that the culture of the DOE is service. We work for you guys. We work for the districts out there. And we got to keep in mind when we're answering our phones and we're making decisions that it is about the students. This is not about Fitz Johnson. It's not about everybody working in the DOE. It is about our students. And if we think our students first, every time we decide, every decision that we make, if we take ourselves out of it and say, what is it going to do for our students? I think you're going to get a good result. And I think you're going to get a culture at the DOE of giving and a culture of service to you. Now again, I appreciate you coming out tonight. I have my full Achieve More plan on my website, fitzjohnson.us, and I hope you would take a look. I appreciate your prayers as I go through this, as we all go through this. We appreciate your prayers, and I ask for your vote on May 20th. Thank you so much.
Kira?
Last. We've had a lot of answers as how to improve education in Georgia, but what we haven't really focused on again is what the purpose of public education in Georgia is. No one's really articulated that tonight, except for me. It's to graduate self-sufficient, independent individuals who can compete in the American marketplace and in the world marketplace. And we have to make sure that we are doing that by what's best for children. We need someone who can go in there, who knows the implication of legislation on schools directly. I'm the only one of these candidates who are still in the schools and understands what these laws are doing to our children and what these laws are doing to our communities. We have to be very, very wary of accepting any new legislation. And while we're doing that, the only question that we need to be asking while we are there is this what's best for children? And if the answer is, I'm not sure, or no, but it's over here, it's good for this group of people, then the answer is no, and we stop doing what we're doing. We have got to do what's best for children. We have to ask that question daily. We have to ask that question hourly. We have to look at the State Board of Education as not its own fiefdom, because it's not. We have to work with the governor, who is really the CEO of education. We have to work with the legislature, which is really the CFO of education. And then you have the state school superintendent who goes in there, and she is the one who makes sure that everybody plays nicely together and everybody holds hands and makes sure that they're all asking that same question. Is this in the best interest of Georgia's children? My name is Kira Willis. I'd appreciate your vote. You can check me out at kirawillis.com. Thank you all.
Thank you all. Would you all please join me in a round of applause thanking the candidates for appearing tonight.